Creating unique quilt designs is fun, but having to do all the careful math needed to scale a project to fit on a 1/4-inch grid can get old fast. The latest release of QuiltPaper lets you design a quilt top at the actual size of the project. What this means is that you can set the QuiltPaper page to the actual size of the quilt top, set the pieces at their actual finished size, and view how well everything fits at the beginning of your design process. Following this approach means QuiltPaper can hand you a sheet of graph paper that you can confidently use to complete your design. It's just another way QuiltPaper can help you create a graph paper without all the drafting required by standard 1/4-inch paper. Let's get started. This example uses an approach that works with every graph paper. I'm going to show you how to set a graph paper scale to the actual size using the add-on paper diamond. My project is an on-point, king-size quilt design, and no scaling calculations are needed. To start, I'll tap Diamond, then Plus to open the screen to create a diamond paper. Every graph paper opens the same way, a starter layout to the left, and on the right is the toolbar. As my first step, I will let QuiltPaper know the finished size of the quilt top. I'll do this by opening the very last icon on the toolbar, Page Settings. The king-size quilt I want to make has 15-inch drops on the sides and on the end. Based on my calculations, I'd like the quilt top to finish at 106 by 95. I'll scroll the page size picker down to Custom and input the quilt size of 106 across and 95 down. This sets the size of the page to exactly the size of the quilt top I want to make. A close look at the layout to the left shows a dotted blue line that marks the margins. This blue line can only be seen in page settings. Notice that there is a gap between the white edge of the page and the dotted blue line for the margins. So next, I'll set the margins to 0. Now that the margins are all set to 0, they are out of the way, and the area for the layout is the same size as the page. I know this because the dotted blue line matches the page size. This way, as I create the design, I'll be able to see how well my layout fits the size of the quilt top I want to make. Now I can start designing. First, I'll open Diamond at the top of the toolbar. I want 60-degree diamond, so I'll leave that setting. However, I will adjust the side length to 4. Next, I'll add sashing by opening sashing on the toolbar and setting it to 1. It's time to step back and take a look at the layout and consider if I want to add a border. I can see the design does not quite fill the page, which means that it is smaller than the 106 by 95 I want. With a few adjustments to the size of the diamond and sashing, I can work to get a closer fit. First, I'll slowly increase the size of the diamond. It looks like a 6-inch diamond centers a layout nicely. I really don't want to increase the width of the sashing, so I'll look at adding a border. I'll tap a color for the border and start increasing the size of the border. I can see that a 2 3/4-inch border puts the design very close to the 95 width I wanted. So just how close am I to the 106 length? I can find out by going to page settings. I'll gradually increase the size of the bottom or the top margin and watch how the blue line moves closer to the layout, showing me the exact point the bottom margin fits tight to the grid. It looks like the difference is only 2 3/4 inches, so I'll let it go. To finish up, I'll set the margin back to 0. Now I could also adjust the page size to fit my design. Just a little adjustment of width and length is needed to get the page size to match the size of the layout. So now I know the actual size of my design. I can close and leave the page settings tool I can step back again and look at the layout one more time. And it looks pretty good. So now the layout is complete and ready to use. There are two possible next steps. First, the layout could be shared as a PDF to either print and color by hand or to import into a more full-featured graphics program. To create a PDF, open More in the right corner to select PDF. On the PDF page, open More to see the two settings that support very large layouts, PDF line width and size legend. For PDF line width, I'll set it to fine line and the border lines on to make the lines just a bit easier to see. Sometimes it's helpful to know the scale. A scale can be added to the page with size legend. Turn on the switch to see it, and then use the tools to adjust placement. Open More and tap Print to let iOS scale the PDF to print to an 8.5 by 11 page, or tap Share to export the PDF. The other next step is to use Paint and QuiltPaper to plan your quilt design. One change you might notice is that the quality options are different. With scaled papers, there's a choice of 1, 2, or 3 quality stars. However, because this layout is just so large, the options had to be reduced to handle all the pixels needed to transform this grid into an image for painting. Don't let this put you off. Either will be good to work with. Before I start painting, I'm going to zoom in and pick a color. If you are unfamiliar with paint and the custom color palette, do open More and Help to find the paint tutorials. And that's it. That's how to use QuiltPaper to plan large projects and let QuiltPaper handle much of the scaling effort.